Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today. This one we're going to be starting with taking a look at the cover for The Walking Dead issue 155, The Tip of the Spear. We're also going to be talking about some of your guys' questions, going to be answering some of them, taking a look at a new Fear promo image. So here we have the cover for The Walking Dead issue 155. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can check it out yourself from thewalkingdead.com, of course. So this one's going to hit June 1st, 2016, which is cool. It's my birthday, so I'm pretty excited for that. Definitely will be reading it on my birthday, doing the review for you guys. All the usual stuff. You guys know how it is. These things don't change after, almost 6 years of doing this, or 5 years of doing this. It's not going to change. So, Tip of the Spear. Yeah, Tip of the Spear. Pretty cool cover. We've got Dwight at the front there, who I'm actually very surprised how much I actually like Dwight in the comic book series at this time right now, because I really hated him early on, especially with what he does. I mean, he kills certain characters. He kind of plays both sides. Eugene calls him out on it. He kind of, similar in the TV series. He seems like he's cool, and then he turns on you, right when you think everything's good, he turns on you. And you're really just not sure what he's going to do. And actually, I think Eugene's right. He basically is going to do whatever he thinks is best for himself and for himself to survive. And he's going to make sure he's on the winning side one way or another, whether it be, the saviors or the survivors. So, the cover. So we've got some list here on the wiki. It's got Brianna apparently on the cover. Dwight, of course, at the bottom there. You can see you got Laura, obviously. You've got Magna, who hasn't been used really at all in the series. This is aside from her coming in and Kirkman kind of bringing her in with her group, she hasn't really done anything since then. So I'm interested to see, what he has in store for her, what he's going to use her for. I'm sure he's going to use her sooner or later, and her group. So we're waiting to see that. Maybe this issue we'll start to see that. We've got Yumiko, Kelly, Marco, Dante, and Vincent, and then some malicious soldiers, that kind of deal. So cool. So we're really starting to see, if you look at this cover here, there's not really one character from kind of the early days in this cover at all. There's not even one single character that's been there for a really, really long time, aside from, Dwight kind of came in at around the time the television series is at right now. But there's nobody from the earlier time period in The Walking Dead. So we're starting to see The Walking Dead, with the newer story, with the time skip and that, really focusing on different characters. Rick taking a back seat. He's not really going to be out there fighting and, on the front lines. He's going to be leading from the base, so to speak. But Dwight, it looks like, is going to be our kind of new field leader, almost like Daryl in the TV series. Almost like Kirkman has kind of created Dwight to sort of give him that kind of Daryl character that we've had so far. We'll see what they have in store for Daryl in the future of the television series, and when they adapt this, who it's going to be. Is it going to be Dwight or is it going to be Daryl? What's going to happen? We'll see. It's exciting. Always exciting. So, should be a good issue. Don't have too much more else to say than that. There is no plot. Tip of the Spear. It looks like the battle's kind of starting between the Whisperers and the Survivors at this point. So, we had the cover with Michonne there, and apparently it's Aaron who's on that cover, and they're kind of being attacked by some Whisperers. And we'll see what Dwight and the others here are up to. Are they chasing after Negan? Are they trying to track down Negan or something? Are they, something else happened with the Whisperers attacking? Or, has Negan already told the Whisperers? Lots of great questions, and to see what's going to come up and what's going to happen. So awesome stuff. So we'll switch and we'll take a look at the new Fear promo, and then we'll get into some questions from you guys for the Q&A. I'll also put the link in the description to an IGN page where you guys can check out kind of a new promo. It's just a quick little promo. I don't really think it includes hardly anything that we haven't seen yet, but it's kind of cool to see because it includes both The Walking Dead, the regular show, and then Fear. It basically is a promo that The Walking Dead season finale is the 3rd of April, and then the next week, the 10th, is the premiere for Fear. So definitely AMC wants to keep people watching, keep people in zombie mode, so to speak. I've seen some speculatory dates that possibly they'll do the first half, 8 episodes or so, and then there's going to be Preacher, which is going to be on, which I may check out. I'm not a big fan of Preacher. I've heard of the comic book series, but I never really got into it personally. So, and then after, of course, they'll resume probably late July or August, something like that, and then they'll go for another 7 episodes in the second half, something like that. But it's all speculative right now. Of course, when it's actually shown, I'll let you guys know what the dates are, and that for Fear. And the more people who check out Fear, the more they seem to like it, the more they kind of get into it. I don't think it's quite, where The Walking Dead is at, even after the first season, I'd say. I don't think it's quite on par with The Walking Dead yet, but we'll see with season 2, because season 2 it looks pretty unique, which is cool, seeing the boat and everything. So new promo there, pretty cool. Getting to know more of our characters as we go through, and hopefully getting more attached to the characters. And that definitely for Travis, after the end of the first season, I feel quite a bit attached to the character already. Same with many of the others. Getting there. But that's pretty much all I gotta say for Fear at this time. Can't wait to see the second season, but it's gonna be sad because it'll be the end of season 6 of The Walking Dead, which is really kind of like the main show, so to speak. Next question is from Emerald Alien. He says, "Hey Trev, got a Q&A question. Do you think Scott Gimple is being too safe? It seems like only Alexandrians and redshirts die now, and the main characters feel more invincible than they used to. That sense of dread that anyone can die is just gone now. Season 5 had enough character deaths for me, but Season 4 and especially Season 6 have been disappointing in that aspect. What do you think?" We have had the Alexandria deaths, and we have had quite a few Alexandrian characters this season. So it feels like there's more kind of main core. But I feel kind of like Jessie and her family kind of became part of the survivor group. They kind of became part of the main group. And then, of course, spoiler warning, were killed off. So, it kind of feels like there's quite a few. But you're right, in terms of the actual core group, there haven't been that many in our core survivor group. But I think part of that's because, they haven't become a lot tougher in terms of survivors. We probably won't see many characters be killed off randomly by zombies, kind of random bites or things like that, because they've gotten kind of so adapted or used to the world that, them kind of dying like that, it can happen sometimes, but it should be probably pretty rare at this time. Most of the time, if you see characters being killed, it should be, from a villain or, some kind of battle between groups and stuff like that in the future, probably, for our main core group. But I don't think so. I think that we're just kind of getting ready, because in the next few episodes, we should see a few. Now, if we go through the whole rest of the season and there aren't any kind of main core cast, character deaths, then then I'll agree with you. I'll kind of say that. But it looks like we've got some set up. No spoilers I'm aware of. I'm not aware of it. I don't know any spoilers for the finale of the next few episodes. I kind of want to keep it that way. Somebody asked me, Trev, how do you avoid reading spoilers and stuff? I try my best. You got to use self-control. If you go out and you read everything, well, you got to blame yourself. That kind of deal. I put a spoiler, in the title if I do a video that includes actual spoilers. And some people think that when I do a discussion topic, sometimes that means spoilers. Well, not really, because I'm not sure if I do a theory video, that kind of thing, I'm not sure that's going to happen anyway. I don't know for sure. I can try to make a case for it, but I don't know for sure. So, but we'll see. I think there are some pretty big deaths coming at the end of this season, and I think that should shake people up a little bit. But you're right, maybe a little bit of false sense of security at this time. By the way, if there's background noise, sorry guys, people partying St. Patrick's Day, so a couple doors down. Next one's from Zasmanreviews. He says, "Hey Trev, sorry for sending you so many questions, and don't be sorry, man. I love your questions. Keep sending me your questions, because you've got some good ones, and anybody else who keeps sending me good questions too, keep doing it. My question is, will Negan be way more pissed in his introduction in the TV series because Rick has killed and the survivors have killed so many of his men? In the comics, he was joking around saying things like," and then he quotes, "Are we pissing our pants yet?" Because that's what he says when he first comes in. And then he says, "But will he be a lot angrier in the show? Thanks." And he's a smiley face. So, I would think so. But also, too, in the television series version, he's got to respect the survivors more than in the comic book series, I would say. Because in this version, the survivors literally took out an entire outpost. Everybody. They killed them all, and they lost no one. And that is impressive, man. I mean, that's something to be feared in its own right. If a group can come in and kill, dozens of your people without losing a single person and take down the entire outpost, and and then and then another group that's sent, a smaller group that's sent to try to help, and then another group that kind of gets away. They're able to kill all of them too. So far the survivors, that law of averages has got to catch up, because they've been smoking them so far. And we should be due for at least a few character deaths by the end of the season. So death heavy. I'm looking in the next few episodes, I think. Next one's I think he will be more pissed in the TV series, but I think also he'll respect them more right off the bat, because he'll be impressed. He'll be like, wow, you did what? That's kind of crazy. Next one's from Chris Fleming, and he says, Trev, with regards to the Carol smoking question from yesterday's Q&A, I think it's because she wants to die after all she's been through. It's clear that killing people has left its toll on her, but because of the community, she won't take the more direct route of killing herself like in the comic series counterpart, which isn't really the same. It's totally different, it's not even close to the same. So she is slowly killing herself by smoking. And I hadn't thought about that. I think that's a great insight from Chris here, that maybe those things will kill you. She knows it, and yet she continues to do it anyway, because she's kind of developing more of a sense, a loss of her will to live, a loss of her will and her desire to go onward from so much fighting over the years, which makes sense. People sometimes get worn down over the years in that. And I like Freudian psychology for this, where it accounts kind of objectively in objective psychology for kind of the struggle between eros and thanatos, which just means eros is like your drive to build and to live and to do well in your life and all kind of the good stuff. And this isn't a great description of it. And then thanatos is kind of battling with it. And it's kind of the desire at some point, see, the way like he thinks of it is that people always try to avoid pain. We always try to, survive and do whatever we have to do in order to survive. But there gets to a point where that isn't always true. There are points where people do lose kind of that will. And how do you account for that? Or you have an animal such as maybe a dog that if it is in a lot of pain or it knows it's dying, it might try to go off and hide or something. This is a common thing with animals too. And it's interesting, kind of that drive to survive and always fight, and kind of this other little drive that's there that seems to be innate in animals and in human beings, that at a certain point, in enough pain, people can just kind of give up. And that's kind of where Carol is at. I feel like the struggle for her, definitely before her drive to survive and to fight for the people that she loves and cares about, was all the way. Now she seems to be kind of that thanatos drive seems to be kind of becoming more and more prevalent, which also can occur in human beings as they get really older, and if their body starts to hurt a lot and this kind of thing. You get people that become really old. Sometimes they'll stop eating, sometimes they'll do things like that, and they'll just let nature take its course. And that's an interesting thing to account for, and it's very it's argued heavily in psychology whether or not that idea even exists. I think it accounts for a lot in terms of animals and people, and I think it's tied to pain. I think if you're 95 and you're feeling pretty good, your body seems to be okay, you may want to keep going. But there is a kind of a pain threshold that people can get to where they kind of start to give in more and more to that kind of side where they just have had enough. They don't want to continue. So knowing that can give you the power to understand in yourself, especially when you get older, in those different drives, and to try and keep your eros drive stronger and block out the thoughts of the other drive, which is to give up, right? To give up or to go and just continue going, straight forward. So this is why I love to read about, psychology and different theories in that. So it's a great theory. I really like it a lot. I think it accounts for a lot of behavior, because if you always try to survive, always try to avoid pain, why would people commit suicide? Why would people ever do things like that? It doesn't account for those things. Having that other kind of explanatory drive, and also that it can become sadistic towards others, and then you can get people that will want to kill, right? This kind of thing. It projects outwards sadistically towards other people, this thanatical drive to others. It's named after the Greek god of death. So anyway, that's pretty heavy, pretty deep stuff. Going deep with this one. But I like your idea. I hadn't really thought of it like that maybe she knows it'll kill her, and so it's representing her kind of loss of her eros drive, her drive to continue to survive, but it's become part of her to want to do, right for the group and to care about others, but not really caring about herself. So that is one thing about it, last week's episode that was really, really good and kind of profound psychologically. So Gimple's a genius, or whoever wrote that's an effing genius and really knows their shit for sure. You can tell, obviously, clearly knows what he's doing. Next one's from Daniel Ducont, and by the way, Chris, great insight there. I like that. That could be exactly what it is, and I hadn't thought of that. Daniel Ducont says, "Hey, Trev, big fan of the channel, The Walking Dead. I was wondering what comic book series, and I guess I'll make this last one for today. What comic book series you read besides The Walking Dead? There's so many out there; it's hard to keep up with them all, and it'll be great to hear from someone who is really immersed in the comic world. Which series are worthwhile to subscribe to?" And he says, "Thanks." Of course, Walking Dead is my favorite. It kind of has been ever since I discovered it and read it through. It quickly became my favorite of all time, even compared to some of your big ones like Batman. Batman's kind of a lock for me. I always enjoy Batman. It's always pretty much good. Anything I read, depending on the writer, Grant Morrison, some of his stuff in Batman is really fun. Then we've got X-Men. I really love to read X-Men. Anything X-Men I think is great because they do a good job of the character development over time. Where you have this is kind of spoilery if you intend to read X-Men, but Cyclops actually from the beginning, he actually goes from kind of where he's at, which is kind of the star pupil for Professor X. He actually becomes Magneto in the series. Like he becomes the bad guy, so to speak, against people, for mutant kind. He'll do anything to help mutant kind. And his transformation, there's a really great transformation in X-Men. Cyclops in particular is good because a lot of people don't know that if you just watch the movies. He goes from that to becoming basically evil, and him and Wolverine want to kill each other. There's some great stuff in that. Avengers, they've got great characters. They don't use them that well. DC's got some good stuff with Green Lantern, was really hot there a while ago with Blackest Night and stuff. It was a great series in that, but it's hard for me sometimes because in Marvel and DC they constantly recycle plots, they constantly relaunch the series and start again at issue 1, and I hate that shit. Kirkman actually in interviews has said that he's trying to kind of save the comic book industry by creating long-running stories and not just copping out and restarting them all the time. Restart, reboot, even though he's rebooting Invincible right now, which is kind of fun anyway, but it's not going back to issue 1 and restarting. It kind of becomes a mess after a while. His are great because he just does it long running, like The Walking Dead. Like, what if he rebooted The Walking Dead and started over again with a new, and then started with Rick at the beginning again, but told it differently with a different artist or something? That's what Marvel and DC do all the time. And it's really frustrating, as a reader, because it's like, how am I supposed to keep up here if you just keep relaunching shit all the time? It's really, in terms of a marathon type long running story, you can't really get that because they switch writers and they switch artists and I don't know. Uncanny X-Force is good. That's a really cool book to read. Some really great brutal violence and killing. It's pretty awesome. And I think that's about it for comics I read. TMNT I always love. There was a TMNT and Batman I wanted to check out. IDW did a TMNT series, and I've heard great things. Haven't bought it yet, but I do want to check that out. And Invincible is the next on my reading list to go through and read the whole thing and buy it all. But of course, Walking Dead, favorite of all time, always has been. And that's why I've been making videos on it for 6 years now and continue to do so. Even when I started making videos on it, nobody really read The Walking Dead hardly at all. Like it was sometimes it'd do okay, but it wasn't where it's at now. So love the series, man. And that's all I can say for you right now, brother, because there aren't too many other comic book series I'm reading right now. So it's just what it is. So, but check out some different stuff out there, and just be wary of stuff that keeps getting rebooted, because that just pisses me off, man. I hate that crap. So let me know what you guys think about all the different questions, and in this one, and what you think about the cover and everything. And the Carol one is a great one from Chris. Great insight. So write your comments below. Keep sending me your Q&As, and of course for this weekend, excited for episode 14 and the last 3. Can't wait to see them, and then also excited for the premiere of Fear and Game of Thrones, of course. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to thumb up. I always appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe if you like this video. Many more just like it on almost a daily basis coming. Share, fave, and that's it for this one today, guys. See you guys again real soon, probably tomorrow. So this is Trev. Say peace. See you guys.